Hello, I am Vaughn Albury. Welcome to Ed Table Talk Unplugged. It's a show produced by the Communications section of the Ministry of Education and Technical and Vocational Training. Here, we delve into issues of education featuring key persons and stakeholders. Here is my co-host, Denise Pratt.
Well, thank you, Vaughn. Well, teachers have proven to be the ultimate national resource throughout the world. And without teachers, where would any of us be? Here in the Bahamas, since the onset of COVID-19, our teachers have demonstrated just how valuable they are, particularly as we are forced to resort to virtual instruction when face-to-face was suspended. It was not easy, but our teachers continue to show that they are steadfast and dedicated in the face of challenges.
That is true. There are approximately 3,500 teachers employed by the Ministry of Education. For more than 2 decades now, many of our younger teachers are products of the National Teacher Cadet Program for high school students. That is our topic today, and we are pleased to welcome Mrs. Demetria Rolle, the Education Officer responsible for the Ministry's Career Path section, and Ms. Chakia Charlton, a teacher at the C.I. Gibson Secondary School. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
Welcome.
It's good to be here.
You're welcome. And joining us later will be the University of the Bahamas student, Kiara Dawkins.
Mrs. Rolle, tell us a little bit more about the Teacher Cadet Program. We know it started in 1995, and you were, in fact, one of its first participants, a former teacher. Tell us more about it. Who was it designed for?
Yes, as you would have already noted, in February 1995, the Ministry of Education would have started the Teacher Cadet Program, recognizing the need for homegrown Bahamian teachers. While it is always good to import teachers and benefit from the wide range of knowledge and skills that they bring, it is also very, very important that we cultivate a cadre of teachers that are Bahamian, because there are some things that are uniquely Bahamian that only Bahamian teachers can impart to Bahamian students. And I could give you many stories of my own experience as a Spanish teacher, where knowing the Bahamian dialect, knowing the idiosyncrasies of our language was incredibly important as I tried to teach them a foreign language. But that's just one example. The Teacher Cadet Program was designed to attract the brightest and best among our high school students, both in the public school and in independent schools across the country, to the teaching profession. And it was also designed to sensitize the Bahamian society at all levels to the unique and fundamental roles of teachers to the development of our nation.
Now, Ms. Rolle, we know that the Teacher Cadet Program is national in scope.
It is.
So we want to get our Family Island students involved. How have you been able to do that?
Absolutely. The Teacher Cadet Program has been active on every family island in the country, from Grand Bahama and Abaco in the north to Inagua in the south. The program has played an active role in cultivating teachers from all of those islands for the schools on all of those islands.
And how's that worked out in the face of COVID-19, where you can't really travel as much? What have you been doing about
Well,
that?
the beautiful thing about the archipelagic nature of the program is because we wanted equity in the program. We wanted to ensure that all members of the Teacher Cadet Program, regardless of where their school was located, was able to benefit from all aspects of the program, and we wanted to make sure that that was happening many years ago. We had our program virtual since 2015.
Really?
And so since 2015, cadets had been meeting online, going on Edmodo, completing all of their monthly tests, all of their activities for the program online. And so COVID-19 actually did not really affect the actual running of the program very much. The only thing that happened in the program is that rather than having face-to-face meetings with their individual advisors at their schools, those meetings moved to the online platform. We use Zoom. And for New Providence students, rather than coming to Mabel Walker for that meeting every Monday, they began to meet on Zoom. And some beautiful things started to happen because of COVID-19. Because rather than having just New Providence students interacting with New Providence students once a week, and Family Island students simply interacting with students from their schools once a week, every Monday since March 2020, cadets across the archipelago got to meet together.
Excellent.
Teachers from across the archipelago got to meet together. And they began to cross-fertilize their experiences. So as we talked about the pedagogical advancements in education in New Providence, they were able to compare how that compared to Exuma. How does that compare to San Salvador? What's happening on Harbor Island?
And Ronquillo.
And so it highlighted the need for that kind of cross-fertilization, which we hadn't considered before.
That's a good thing.
Excellent.
Well, Ms. Charlton, you are now a teacher, but you were once in the Teacher Cadet program.
Yes, I was.
Now tell me, the standards, how do you get into it? How was it for you?
Well, joining the Teacher Cadet program at C.V. Bethel Senior High School when I was in high school was smooth sailing. I always knew that I wanted to be a teacher since primary school, and so when I found out about the program, that was automatic for me. So I already met the credentials, and so once again, like I said, it was very smooth sailing joining the program.
What skills did you acquire?
I was able to polish up on my communication skills as well as my, I guess I would say, people skills, because I was friendly, but in terms of having to actually teach people now, I was able to progress in that area.
Yeah. Mrs. Rolle, this program isn't for everyone, eh?
It is.
Because she's, Ms. Charlton, she knew she wanted to be a teacher. What about those who, I just want to get into a program because that could lead to a sure job.
Or I'm not sure.
Or I'm not sure,
Yes.
So how is that program?
Yes, it isn't for
And tell us about the standards also.
Okay. In order to get into the Teacher Cadet program, students have to be honor roll students at their schools. They have to have 5 BJCs with a C grade or higher, and those subjects must include mathematics and English language. And they have to have a good reputation at their schools. And so
What does that mean?
it means that we try to ensure that students that join the program aren't known for having being
a troublemaker?
fights, yes, that kind of thing. Because we want students that are able to encourage other students to be the best students that they can be. And you can't give what you don't have. And so in order to encourage students to be the best, we encourage them to be the best so they can encourage their fellow students and eventually
I want to cut
their
in.
students.
I want to cut in. Denise, what about critical thinkers who might just have they like things. They're not going to follow the path, but who could be good teachers in the future?
You know, we have had students that would have come. A part of the application process is online, and a part of the application process is an interview.
Yes.
And during that interview, sometimes I would see students with the academic credentials, but as we call their schools, as we talk to their teachers, they go, oh boy, I don't know about that particular child. And so during the interview, I would speak with them and I would say, okay, what's happening with you in school? And sometimes there are so many diamonds in the rough that, as you say, they're critical thinkers. They're wonderful, but the system isn't yet ready for them. And we have to just kind of help them. And so we let them in with the understanding that, okay, now you're a cadet now. And as a cadet, there are certain standards. And we helped and polished them. And I have some fantastic teachers in the program that have taken that on and have done, I can tell you some success stories that would blow your mind.
Well, I'm sure that there are success stories. Well, I'm sitting here with 3 teachers, well, former teacher, and one at the C.I. Gibson Secondary Schools. So I don't know. I kind of like the critical thinkers because I don't want everyone to think like me. But we've come to the end of our first section, but there's so much more to come with these wonderful teachers on Ed Table Talk Unplugged. Stay with us.
Our teachers are amongst our true nation builders. Their skill, their energy, their love and sacrifice have shaped lives, stimulated the development of human potential, and have helped to forge the future of a people. It is absolutely necessary, therefore, that we as a nation understand and appreciate the important role of our teachers and the role they play in the qualitative and positive progress of our national development.
Welcome back to Ed Table Talk Unplugged. We're speaking with Demetria Rolle of the Ministry's Career Path section and Chakia Charlton, a high school teacher here in New Providence. Mrs. Rolle, now we know that students come into the program, they may have a certain mindset already about some subjects they want to teach, but we know that there's a national development plan in place that we want to make sure that we have sufficient teachers in key critical areas that may have been underserved in the past. What have you been doing in your program to steer students in certain directions?
Yes, well, many students do come in, the program starts in the 10th grade, and many students come into the program with a very firm idea of what they would like to teach, but there are also quite a number of them that come into the program exploring pedagogy, just exploring education. They're not sure if they want to teach, and then there are those that are sure they wish to teach, but they're really not sure what subject, what area. These are students that they're your 3.8, 3.9, they're pretty much well-rounded, they're gifted in so many areas, they could teach anything. And so they're not certain what they wish to teach. What the program does is it exposes them to various aspects of teaching. We start at the early childhood level and we expose them to teaching at the preschool level. We let them look in on some classes, we let them do some observations, talk to some preschool teachers. We do the same thing at the primary school level, the same thing at the high school level. And at the high school level, junior and senior high, we actually separate the various subjects and we let them speak with teachers and education officers, curriculum officers, and sometimes persons from the examination and assessment section in those particular subject areas to help them to appreciate, what does teaching this subject mean? Why do we need teachers in this area? What could be some of the benefits of teaching in this area? How do you grow as a teacher in this area? Is it the most fun area? Of course, every teacher, all of those passionate teachers believe that their subject area is the best subject area to teach. Every week when we have meetings, my advisors, the teacher mentors that actually nurture the students in the program, there is also always the debate. You know, where are my math people? Where are my geography people? This is the best subject. And so we do a lot of that to encourage them to truly think very critically about the areas that are needed. Where are you gifted? How can you most benefit the country? And how can you do a job that, you know, they say that if you do something you love, you won't work a day in your life. So how can you do a job, teach a subject where it's not work for you? This is something that you were born to do.
And I like that point. How can you do a job that doesn't work for you? So I'm thinking, I'm going to bring this over to you, Ms. Charlton. Being in the Teacher Cadet program, did it help to solidify for you that yes, this is for me, and perhaps for some of your friends that no, it's not for them?
And the subject that you chose.
Yes, most definitely, because many people just think teaching is just going to the board and standing up and talking. And so I believe that because of the COVID-19 pandemic, it has shown people that it is not just standing up to the board, because we have no board now to stand up to. And so now I believe that the program has really shown me all of the different aspects versus standing up to the board and just speaking.
Right.
So,
and as a student in the program, what I wanted to get at is, were there friends of yours that maybe started out with you saying that they wanted to be a teacher, and then they thought about it afterwards and said, maybe this isn't for me?
Yes, actually, I believe my cohort may have had about 9 persons, and I think only about 2 of us are still our teachers now, actually.
Yeah.
So those were and one was actually one of my friends, and so she was one of those unsure persons.
Yeah.
And so she ended up doing business, but I still feel like she have a teacher in her somewhere.
You know, we all have teachers in us.
Yeah.
You know,
there you
maybe
go.
different subjects.
Yeah, there you go. Talking about that, Denise. I really like to ask, do most people remain teachers? Would you say you have a lot of teachers in your family, so do most people remain teachers?
You mean that come through our program?
They graduate, because these are high flyers. You have to have a high GPA, so they can branch off into many other subjects and many other careers. Do most, over these past 26 years, do most stay
Well,
teachers?
the success rate, and we measure success by those persons that would have graduated from the program, that would have attended the University of the Bahamas or some other college, and that would have come back to work in our system or in independent schools as teachers, because we have them. So far, we found 429 of them.
Wow.
That would have come back and would have worked. And so the statistics range from about 35% of a graduating class. The highest we have had would have been the 2015 graduating class, where we had 80% of them that would have come into the system. That's the highest number. We boast of that number. But the average number is somewhere around 40%. So I guess it's not the majority. But you know, as I said earlier, one of the objectives of the program is to sensitize the Bahamian society at large to the unique and fundamental role of teachers to the development of the nation. So even those students that don't end up becoming teachers leave the program with a unique appreciation of teachers. So even, for example, her friend that would have gone into business, when a teacher approaches that friend and says, listen, I'm a teacher and I would like to help my students in certain ways, that teacher would have said, listen, I was a teacher cadet, I understand what goes into this profession, I respect what you do. I couldn't do it, but I really respect what you do. How do I support you? And that is also a way that we measure success. And so we have had, or even the ones that didn't come into teaching. I had, during the COVID-19 pandemic, I had a former cadet who begged to remain anonymous. She went into banking. But her call to me in April, May 2020 was, how are your teacher cadets doing with this COVID-19? Do all of them have devices? I would like to give a few of your cadets devices that might need it to make sure that they're able to help in school. Here's a banker. She went through the teacher cadet program. She didn't end up teaching, but she has such an appreciation for the role of teachers and the role of education that she wanted to help in that way. And so we consider that success as well.
I do too.
Well, ladies, it has certainly been a pleasure. You know, we've come to our second break, but it's been a pleasure speaking with both of you. Quite enlightening. And Ms. Rolle, Ms. Charlton, we want to thank you, of course, for sharing on the Teacher Cadet program. And our final segment is next with a University of Bahamas student. Please stay with us.
Welcome back. It's our final segment of Ed Table Talk Unplugged, and this time we welcome Kiara Dawkins of the University of the Bahamas. Welcome. Tell us what motivated you to get into the Teacher Cadet program?
From I was pretty young, I always liked the idea of being able to influence young people at a young age to do great things. And it always just seemed fun to me to work with like babies or even people my age to like help them understand subjects and stuff.
So,
or, like, things
so
to
you want to be a teacher?
Yes, sir.
All right.
You know, you're right now currently enrolled in the University of the Bahamas and you're studying education.
Yes, ma'am.
That's lovely. Thank you for agreeing to educate our students. What I want to find out from you is during your time in the Teacher Cadet program, while you were in high school, you learned a number of things. How has that been able to assist you now that you're now in university, you're now in the education course? Are you seeing any similarities? Are you seeing any benefits that you would like to encourage other people to consider joining the program to ascertain?
Yes, actually, when we were in the Teachers Cadet program, we were required to do these things called journal entries, where we basically would take an account of what we did during the meeting. And when I came to UB, I realized that our teachers required us to do the same things for every class. So every meeting we were required to write a journal entry, and like I feel, but they're not as long. They're not as long as we had to do in cadets. But I feel like that really helped me be able to like know how to do it and understand what I have to do for it.
Is the university program what you expected? The education program?
I mean, I guess, I think so.
She's smart.
I wasn't really
Remember, these
expecting
are high
it.
flyers.
Yeah.
These are high flyers. And this is a QC graduate, so definitely she's ready. So
Well, all of our graduates.
there you go, all of our graduates.
Of course.
Mrs. Rolle, talking about our graduates, how do they mesh? Because you have both independent school students as well as public school students. We know they all have high GPAs, but how do they mesh when they get together?
You know, there's nothing that unites a people more than a shared passion. And these cadets have a shared passion. Mm-hmm. They all want to make a difference in the country. Even the ones that don't want to go into teaching want to make a difference in the nation. They want to be a change maker. They want to influence people. They want to help. And that shared passion unites them. So they may come from independent schools. They may come from Family Islands. They may come from New Providence. Often they come from schools that other students have never heard of. Or, I could think of one that came from Alpha Preparatory, and they were like, oh, what school is that? I mean, every time she introduced herself, she got those kinds of responses. But the beautiful thing is they learn that, as the Bahamian song goes, all of we is one. Mm-hmm. All of we is one. We have a shared mission. Our mission is to improve the education system of the Bahamas, one teacher at a time, by bringing in the teachers of the highest quality.
If there's one thing, or maybe two or three, that you would recommend, what advice would you give to improve the Teacher Cadet program?
Well, there are several things that we have been, the Teacher Cadet program is really a success story for the Ministry of Education on so many levels. Mm-hmm. And what we have been able to accomplish with the resources that we have had is nothing short of incredible. All right, the curriculum, the development of it, the offering of it online, our YouTube channel, all of the things that we're able to do, the various competitions. And if we could do all that with what we have, just imagine with even more resources, with an officer dedicated just to the Teacher Cadet program, because while I am the coordinator, I have several other responsibilities as well, with clerks dedicated to it, with a larger budget, those kinds of things, so that we could expand our reach and so that we can offer even more. Right now, what we're trying to do is we're really trying to get persons in the technical and vocational fields in education. And so we've already started talks with the Bahamas Technical and Vocational Institute about how we can partner with them to encourage students to pursue technical studies and then not go into industry, which could be more lucrative, but to come into teaching so that we could develop those programs in our schools and again, develop those children, develop the nation. And this is the opportunities that exist. And if we could just be given a few more resources, it scares me to think of the possibilities. I definitely have the dream. It's big enough. We have teachers in our program that have so many wonderful ideas, and often they come to me and I say, oh, I'd love to do that. let's see how we could do it without a budget. Let's see if we could do it. Let's see what we can do. And sometimes we're able to do it, but then there are times that we simply couldn't. So just those resources would be great.
There you go.
Now, you mentioned the technical area and getting more persons interested in going into that area and also training other persons in that area. We know that that's a big thing right now throughout the world, you know, with the job shortages. Now, I noticed you said maybe not to go right into industry, but there must be some persons who come into the program who tells you, I really need to make more money. How do you address that?
Well, we attack that head on. We look at that way of thinking from the first meeting, when they come in grade 10 until the last meeting, because we understand that one of our greatest challenges are family members, friends, other persons at their schools that are telling them, listen, you want to become a teacher, teachers make X. And if you go into this industry, you could make Y. And so we look at various benefits of being a teacher that move way beyond their salaries. And more than anything else, remember, one of the biggest reasons children join is because making a living is great, but making a difference is so much more powerful for them. And so we help them to appreciate, one, we have a lot of financial coaching where we help them to be able to maximize what teachers do make, so they learn that it's not what you make, but how you spend it. It's how you use the resources that you do make. And so we give them lessons in how they can do that, and we also help them to appreciate that there are things that you can do even outside of the classroom that will help to broaden your horizons, and you're only really limited by the scope of your imagination.
There you go.
Excellent, excellent.
Thank you so much, ladies.
Yes, it's been a pleasure speaking to you about the Teacher Cadet program. I learned so much. And our University of Bahamas student, how many of your peers went through the program that you're familiar with that are there?
I can't exactly tell you an exact number, but it's a good bit of us.
Okay.
It's
Great.
this year we had an
There are a
excellent
lot
this
of
year.
us.
I haven't tracked all of our 39 graduates, but so far out of the 39, more than 20 of them we found, and they're in School of Education at UB.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much, ladies, for sharing with us all about the Teacher Cadet program.
Thank
We
you.
certainly feel so privileged to know that this program is securing the future of our country in the education sector.
Very good hands.
Very good hands.
And if you would like to receive updates on what's happening at the Ministry of Education, subscribe to receive text notifications at 819-BMOE. That's 819-2663. Remember to visit all of our social media platforms. Again, thank you so much for tuning in. I am Vaughn Albury, along with my co-host, Denise Pratt. Join us again for another edition of Ed Table Talk Unplugged.
It is necessary to revitalize the Teachers Cadet program so as to attract the brightest and the best candidates of the Teachers Training Program. The role of teachers to our national well-being is critical. And so on this day, to the teachers of this nation, I say, we celebrate you and we thank you.